Welcome everybody to Greatest Media Team's production of the 37th Annual Earlewood Classic presented by Innova Disc Golf. We are here at the famous Earlewood Park in Columbia, South Carolina, one of the state's oldest courses, and we have one of the first A tiers of the year in the area, and excited to show you guys some coverage from it. This is the GMT Feature Card for the event, and it's myself, Harry Chace, on the mic, joined by Tyler Wozniak.
What's going on, everybody? Great to be back here and so excited to show you guys really a classic course in the Carolinas, one of the first disc golf courses in the Carolinas, and we're about to see some super talented players attack this course with old school type games.
Absolutely, you gotta match your flavor to the course, and we're gonna see some different shots than you're seeing if you guys watch some Pro Tour coverage. A lot of putters, a lot of mid-ranges, and a lot of birdies. So here we go on the card for the special GMT feature card. We have Paul Ulibarri, Jamie Kiep, Zach Peters, and myself.
There he is. There's the bright young stud playing on the Pro Tour for your second year. And let's see what these guys can do. It's going to be, like we said, a lot of shorter shots requiring technical skill. Kind of a change of pace than what we're used to seeing on these bigger courses.
All right, hole one is a par 3, as every hole will be today. No par 4s, no par 5s. 242 up the hill, a couple different gaps to go. Be interested to see what people choose.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see people go straight up the middle. Some will take the forehand on the left. Looks like Harry, yourself, you're throwing a putter. You split the tree there and gave yourself a very, very reasonable look at your birdie putt.
Wow, what a fortunate way to start the event. That's one of the gaps you can go, I guess. Great view here, as the field goal is
Nice.
Good.
There you go, Harry. Yep. And hey, you know what? Sometimes to get a good round going, you need to get a little squeaky, and that's what you did. All right, here's Zach Peters, looking like he's lining up the same type of shot. Throws it a little more proper. And we want an overstable finish here, and that's what he's getting. He'll be right underneath the bucket. All right, Jamie Kiep, fan favorite. Let's see what he's got. GMT sponsored. Going high hyzer. Another route that works here. That's crashing in well.
Yeah, so far 3 different routes to the basket, and 3 players in the circle. So nice look at this high hyzer. I personally didn't really like this line, but Jamie makes it look really easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of branches up there high. I think you can catch a little early, but it's there. Let's see what Paul Ulibarri does. Oh, he's going forehand.
Yeah, you can see Jamie laughing in the background. Jamie actually talked Uli in to going the forehand route, and of course he squares the tree. He's talking to him right now. Crazy. I mean, Jamie, he's nice, but man, he can. Obviously not his fault, but he's still laughing about it.
Maybe he talks a little bit, gets into players' heads a little bit. Is that what we're thinking? Or not on purpose, probably just out of banter and having fun. But cool. So Ulibarri is probably a little frustrated with that. And this is the epitome, the definition of a birdie or die course. Right, Harry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the hardest hole today still had 26% birdies. So we have a full field of NPO players ranging from local guys to touring guys. So certainly a mixed bag, but I can't say there's a single hole on this course that, a top-level pro is happy with par. So
yeah,
birdies all day, got to keep them coming early and often.
For sure. And as you guys can see on the coverage here, we have some unique style baskets. These are the original baskets that were installed on this course so many years ago when this course was put in back in the 90s, and the baskets have held up on their own. They're unique, but I don't think they're bad baskets. What's your take on them, Harry?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm normally someone that's pretty knowledgeable on this stuff. I honestly could not tell you the name of these baskets, and they are different. I've never seen anything like them, but if you hit the pole, they catch nearly 100% of the time, just as good as any other basket. The catching zone is certainly not as big, left and right. Is a lot of times going to
it's going to push out or
push out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here we are on hole 2, one of the more technical holes on the course, I would say. Players can go left side with the flick or take this turnover backhand that you're taking here right up the gut. It looks like you strike it pretty well. Holding turn. Does it get a counter turn or does it land softly?
No, I actually hit one of those guardian trees, kind of right squared up in the center. It's hard to see from this angle, but this backhand kind of looks like the natural line to the basket. You really want to cut it in earlier than that so you miss the trees. And luckily the hill can kind of slide you down a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's the proper way to play the backhand. And, well, here we see a completely different play, as that's what Earlewood's great for, man. Different lines to the basket, different plays. Exciting to watch.
Yeah, we've got a Mando to the left of that tree with the hand. You see it. And Zach Peters throws a really good thumber right there.
Let's see it come in on the catch cam.
Wow, perfect.
Yeah.
And maybe Jamie Kiep is doing the same exact thing.
Pretty close. He's going with the forehand.
Oh,
with
hard.
a really overstable disc. So it has,
overstable forehand.
yeah, kind of a similar flight.
Yeah, exactly. It flies pretty similar. Definitely got more turn on that than I think he wanted. He hit the gap well, and Ulibarri is going to take more of the traditional forehand line here. It looks like through the. Oh no, actually, he's going to go flex through the middle as well. And once again, he gets caught up on the same trees. A lot of times, you'll see players take the wide or the left side hyzer forehand here.
Right. Yeah, he hit the same trees as me. It looks exactly what you want to do, but you know you got to follow the fairways here. Jamie Kiep from distance.
Ooh, it's a good bid. And not very often will we see a card of this caliber, all 3 out of 4, come up short, but that's okay. This is one of the harder holes on the course, I would say.
Yeah, certainly one of the trickier holes on the day. The third hardest coming in at 2.96, so right around par. Some of the other holes on this course are a little bit longer and more technical, but are kind of hallways the whole way. So if you hit that initial shot and it's pure to the basket, you'll probably get it. This one's a little bit trickier, and so is that putt, and Uli steps it in like a champ.
Yeah, great putt from Ulibarri. Way to cash in on a long look. I think he was closer than I gave him credit for off the drive also.
Yeah, probably about 45. I mean, the pacing is just spectacular.
Yeah, he's got that really good pace on that putt. Soft landing into the chains, but not so soft. You know, it's just nice and firm, but kind of that hold on tightly but don't let it go kind of feel. Hold on loosely. Don't let it go. All right, Harry Chace with a good cleanup putt there. And you're walking on to the next one. And here for our birdie look.
Yeah, so this birdie or die style, I mean, Zach only wanted to be 2 down through 2. I mean, 1 and 2 do come in as on the harder side for this course, which, you know, kind of seems silly, you know, simple par 3s. I think you'll see as this course expands, especially some holes on the back 9, get to be really simple and are certainly more of a mental test than a physical one.
All right, here we are on hole 3. A lot of the locals might say this is one of the harder holes on the course simply because it's maybe the longest hole on the course, but I think most of your pros are licking their chops on a hole like this. Just a straight power throw up the gut, hyzer at the end, and Zach Peters is going to show us the way first.
There you go. Good shot.
As long as you have 400 feet of power, you can reach this hole pretty reasonably.
Yeah, this hole is kind of that tweener distance. I feel like for most MPO players, this is right within the wheelhouse, but maybe to the MA1, MA2, this one becomes a little bit tougher with the uphill the whole way. Zach squeaking it by that tree, straight skips.
Yeah,
What a start.
Parks. Yeah, wow, 3 for 3 for Zach. That's incredible. Here's Ulibarri, probably throwing a fast disc. This is also one of those holes where if you don't have elite distance, you can just throw your max distance driver up the hill and at a full pace and feel good about it. But if you throw really far like you got to probably disc down to a fairway. I think it makes it a little harder, actually.
Yeah, I'm going with my 7-speed here, FD1. Been loving it for all these kind of longer holes here.
Would have probably parked it, maybe gave it an ace run without that stump. But either way, you're well within the circle. Good shot, Harry.
All right, let's hear some stats about this hole because I think this is really interesting. Going to the MPO division, this hole has a 44% birdie rate,
Nice.
which is insane. For reference, hole 1 for the pros, only a 30% birdie rate.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch that over to MA1, where the distance might be a little bit more tricky. They have a 46% birdie rate on hole 1, which is way higher than MPO. But in this hole, only a 14% birdie rate. So that kind of shows the difference in terms of, for a pro distance, this hole is a little bit easier just because of that one fairway the whole way.
Absolutely.
But that's shocking. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of cool to see that reversal there depending on skill.
Yeah, that's a really good, interesting take there, Harry. And it shows you how the MA1 guys can lace up those shorter holes and then may have a little harder time with these longer holes. But we all know there's those MA1 guys that throw 550 feet also, and they're just crawling their way to MPO. But there's not as many of them, that's for sure, within their division. Good putt by you, Harry.
Yeah, you'll see some players maybe taking a bit more time on these 15-footers than normal because, it's really hitting the stripe or nothing.
Yeah, I can say from experience, if you're left side chain or right side chain, there's a strong chance you don't catch on these. So yeah.
All right, we have hole 4 here coming in as the second easiest hole on the day. Most birdies, though, we'll see that difficulty kind of go up a little bit because it is an island, but at only 140 feet, very difficult to miss.
Yeah, it's hard to miss. I think the only thing that can really mess you up here is you hit one of these trees on your way in and you roll OB. If you can avoid doing that, then you should have a very, very good chance at making your birdie here. You're taking a nice overstable approach. I'm assuming that's a tactic.
Yep, tactic for me here. I think certainly the preferred play for the forehand gets down, overstable to the right. You can see enough airspace to work a backhand pretty easily, but as far as the percentages, and whoa, we got our first medal hit of the day right here from Paul Ulibarri.
Ulibarri about splashed that in too. That would have been fun. Still a really great shot from him. Good job, Ulibarri. Throwing his zone.
Oh, he's going faster than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is actually kind of funny. I remember this during the round. Me and Zach threw putters, him with a bird, me with a tactic. Jamie and Yuli went with 14 speeds, essentially, with a Nuke OS and a limit.
Yeah, Jamie does that exact thing I said that you can't do. Jamie hits that tree, and it seems like it almost always goes OB when you hit a tree here. The green's certainly sloped downward.
Yeah, I think if he had a slower disc, it might have just hit and sat, but going with the driver.
Woo! And that's a really important par save. You don't want a bogey on this course. It feels like such a setback. So, good job, Jamie.
Yeah, what a putt. If you guys are new to the Jamie Kiep experience, expect these on repeat. One of the best Circle 2 putters in the game. Like, not just talking about local level, A-tier level.
Yeah.
I'm talking Pro Tour. This last week led the field at Big Easy Open in Circle 2 putting percentage.
Wow, I did not know that. Good for you, Jamie. Those are some sick jump putts you got. And a sick cowboy hat and a one sleeve rolled up. I mean, the dude's got some style.
He's the wild man for a reason.
Nice. And there's Harry with a nice birdie of your own. So Ulibarri's throwing driver here, huh? That's fun.
Yeah, it's insane. 140 feet. I mean, I guess choose your comfort disc, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But we had a 1 speed, a 4 speed, a 13 speed, and a 14 and a half. Who would have thought?
Yeah, definitely a good eclectic range of discs here. And this hole right here, we have a lot of different lines. You'll see the turnover. And the only problem with this is that if you don't get it turning, you're certainly going to be OB. And Zach Peters has ended his streak, and that's where he will be.
Wow.
What are you lining up here, Harry?
Going with the FD1, same as hole 3. Trying to throw it very similarly, but man, Zach 4 down through 4, getting the momentum rolling, and then straight OB. I mean, bogey at best for him.
Yeah, he's going to have to get up and down for his bogey. And then you throw that a little low. Did you get some skip up to the basket there, or you left with a long look?
I got a pretty long look, but, I mean, after seeing Zach throw OB right before me, I got to admit, I was a little scared.
Yeah. Looks like Ulibarri's going the turnover route. I like this play I think it works well if you have a good disc that you can trust the flip and turn. And Ulibarri stripes it just right. He'll be tapping in there.
Yeah, you can see the difference here. Yuli on Annie out of the hand.
Right.
Also never really took it wide over it. Its widest point was like right over the flags.
Yeah.
Zach looked like his desired flight path was a bit more of a late flip, which can be dangerous if you don't get that angle.
I agree. I think the better mistake is to take it on Annie and potentially overturn it. And Jamie shows us how to take that low right side route. You almost hit it perfectly, but the ceiling is pretty low on that side.
It's low for sure, yeah. Got to keep it on hyzer. It is a little scary to OB left, but hard to get one to skip all the way.
Zach's throwing 2 straight here, but he'll have a putt. I'm sure he's not super pleased with that upshot. And here's a long look from Harry. Just never quite had a chance there, but no harm, no foul. Keep moving. Here to save a bogey. Wow. That's an important bogey save, honestly. I mean, he could have, you know, when you have a shaky hole and then a shaky drive and a shaky upshot, and then you miss a putt and you double bogey, that's a frustrating place to find yourself. So that's a little bit of a win for Zach Peters on what's not a good hole for him.
Absolutely.
Jamie with a unique style putt, but he does it very well.
Yeah, speaking of unique, you'll notice throughout the round, he'll hold 2 putters in his hand, a purple and a white, and they're actually different molds, okay? Completely different feel, a little bit different in flight. It's a putter, so not drastic.
Yeah.
And I asked him, you know, what do you use what for? He tells me, just whatever it feels like in the moment, I just putt.
I like that.
Which is certainly unique.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that kind of play sometimes. Just whatever's intuitive for you. All right, we got this downhill hole here. Ulibarri's throwing his Raptor. Oh, he just stays inside. Maybe that's his zone. But this hole is one of those holes where you want to flick off to the left here and kind of bend right in front of that tree that you saw Jamie bend in front of and hope for a good result on the ground because it's super downhill, a lot of roots, and you can get a bad roll away. Or you go this backhand route like you did.
Yeah, this hole can definitely be sketched. Just got to avoid the roots pretty much.
And perfectly done. But that same shot could stand up and roll. So it's just one of those holes where it's a little bit of a game of chance. See, that was trying to get to the rolling, but it didn't.
Yeah, that was nice. 1-speed berg there on a good little flat angle. That was cool.
Yeah, I'd say you guys threw these. And a good putt from Jamie again. I'd say you guys threw these holes really good. Ooh, look at that guy.
Talk about some extra flavor there from the wild man.
Yeah,
and there we go. Another circle 2
tap.
putt. It kind of looks weird from that angle.
Yeah.
That was about 42 feet.
Okay.
Looking right at OB.
Good for him. Oh, yeah. And that's a good catch and a good putt.
Yeah, Yuli with the match there, which is going to give us our first star frame of the day.
Cool. Yeah, you guys are settling in now. That's kind of how you want your round to go out here. Everybody's just sort of vibing and getting on the birdie train together.
All right, our players are making the walk now to hole 7, which is kind of the last of that grouping. I would say 3, 5, and 7 are all in the same distance category. Something that you got to club up on a bit. This one's only 270, but it is severely uphill the whole way and a little bit of a low ceiling. So we even see Yuli right here, I believe, going with the 12-speed Punisher.
Yeah, this is significantly uphill. The camera may not tell, but they've cleaned up this left side over the last year. Typically, you see players go right. And Yuli gets that turned over pretty well, and he'll be having a solid look on circle's edge for his birdie. But a lot of times you see players go distance driver up the right side. Yuli takes the turnover route.
Yeah, I've heard this line's a little bit new. Great turnover to flat and just sit. All right.
Yeah.
Inbounds.
Yeah, that was a good shot there. There is OB on the right side if you keep going. Jamie's going to go more the traditional route.
Yep, 12 speed as well for him. Emperor, one angle, skip,
And that's good. You
Yeah.
know, you want to skip up past that last rock or last log and be parked, but that's still well within the circle for a birdie putt. What are you throwing here, Harry?
Same disc as 3 and 5. This is the FD1. Very workable, straight 7-speed. Holds whatever angle I put it on.
Yeah, you put that perfectly up there. Well done. Squeaked a little branch off the left side, but a good throw.
Yeah, in practice I was having kind of no problems keeping it wide the whole time, but a little bit inside there, but not too much danger.
There is danger going too wide here, too. That you see
Right.
that one pine tree that's a little bit smaller on the right side. It will catch your disc for sure. And Zach Peters looks like he's thrown this just right. Yeah, he did. There you go. We got 4 looks for birdie coming up.
Yeah, this would be a great start frame. This hole, not the most difficult, actually kind of near the center, but like I kind of said earlier with the MA1 stats, I would imagine for most divisions this hole comes in as one of the hardest.
Yeah, I'm curious how MA1 did on this hole.
Only 18% birdie for them, and for MPO, try 41%.
Yeah, there you go. Once again, just showing how distance makes a difference, and that's a good putt from Ulibarri. Almost gets the jump out, but didn't happen.
Yeah, so far these baskets have been nice.
Yeah, I think these baskets are pretty good, to be honest. They catch really well in the most important part of the basket, which is the middle. And I kind of like that they're more narrow. Maybe, good putt, Harry, maybe something the Pro Tour could think about doing one day. Smaller target baskets.
Yeah, I would agree with you, but I just think if you have smaller target baskets, how many more aces do you lose out on? How many more Circle 2 highlights do you lose out on?
It's true.
I think those are the things that can really push our sport is getting those awesome moments, and I'd rather have a basket that catches them.
I don't disagree with you. I would only counter argue that I think these baskets catch aces really well. But you make a good point either way. But I've seen a lot of aces on this course. All right, here we are on hole 8. One of the more unique lines. They have these sets of trees in front that kind of force you to go left or right. And I like this play from Ulibarri. Take something overstable, crank over on it, but he just got it turning too quickly, too hard.
Yeah, I guess that must be a zone. I don't know why I misremembered that, but going to be quite off the fairway here. Jamie, this is a pretty sketchy play. Definitely not the advised play for the hole, but I've seen him put it close, maybe with a good reaction.
There you go. You're taking the wide route again, or as well, just like Ulibarri. And that's why I like this play. Unfortunately, you're getting the bad roll, but a lot of times it will hit that hill well and just sort of nestle.
What the camera didn't see there is I actually clipped the branches, kind of like maybe they're like 20 feet above the ground, like 100 feet short of the basket, which flipped me onto hyzer.
Yeah.
Would have probably checked up and sat flat, but a little too high, hit the branches. That's why I got that reaction.
And Zach Peters with a great drive showing you the straight backhand route. This is a pretty technical line.
Very.
You've got to match the slope coming in. It's really easy to either get it to flip too quick or to fade out too early. So that was really well done by Zach. And Ulibarri and Jamie are having a nice conversation. Ulibarri gets him a little chest tap. Uli's quite the nice guy, a good guy. Fun to play with, I think. A gentleman of the sport, so to speak. And
Sure.
you give a good bid right there. Jamie still has a decent look. You might have to swing around this tree, though. Whew. That was really close to going in, so that was a good bid.
Yeah, Zach going to collect the only birdie for the card there. Kind of surprising. I mean, not pretty middle of the pack hole, but for the birdie or die kind of style of this course, you definitely think that our GMT Feature Card might pick up more than one, but we'll head to the next one.
Yeah, for sure. You would think that.
Hole 9 here is about 300 feet. Maybe plays a little bit longer, but at the same time, this gradual downhill can really allow the disc to float. Really curious to see the plays here because I think everyone has a slightly different play on this hole.
Yeah, this is actually, I think this might be up there with one of the harder holes on the course. As you can see, this drive
Ooh.
almost goes OB. We'll have to see. We'll have to see, but I think it might have stayed in. But I like the turnover play here. You just don't want to throw it too hard or with too fast of a disc. A lot of times you see putter. Ulibarri's throwing what looks to be a putter and mid-range, and he goes OB.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I think Paul's going to be OB. Zach is going to be safe. And we see the limit forehand again. So sketchy how it comes down on that angle.
Yeah, so the limit is what, a 14-speed super overstable driver? Is that
Exactly.
right? Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty fun that Jamie's throwing that and doing it well. Gets a little lucky with the roll there, but it's what works.
It's certainly fun. Yeah, myself would be a little bit scared of the potential rollaways, but
And you just hung that a little too inside.
yeah, totally kind of classic grip lock on that one right there. Luckily got saved by the branches.
Yeah, that could be OB over on the right side, which would certainly be unfortunate, but it'll be just an easy cleanup for you now. But I'm sure you're feeling a little frustrated. That's 2 in a row that you don't really want to go more than 2 holes without a birdie out here.
Yeah, absolutely not. Definitely kind of feel like I'm a little off the pace. No bogeys or anything. But that's what this course kind of does. And another straight jammer, looking right at OB downhill.
Yeah, I like his putt. He's got this spinny hyzer putt. He does it well. Jamie's like a man after my own heart. I've had that kind of putt too sometimes, but I can't say I'm as confident with it as he is. Ulibarri to save par. This is very important. And that's a good putt. Drops it in there very well.
Nice. Yeah, you mentioned this is one of the hardest holes. Second hardest on the day.
Wow.
Averaging exactly at par with a wide range of scores, which makes sense. I mean, the OB right behind it.
Yeah.
Kind of danger off the tee if you go left or right with the OB. But it's really it's almost like too open.
Yeah, I agree. It plays tricks with your mind. It's one of those holes that it's a change of pace from the entire course. And I think it's one of the holes when especially like when you're just on a heater of a round, this is one of those change of pace holes that can get away from you sometimes.
All right, well, you guys are in luck. We have one more hole. This is a 20-hole layout, so we're splitting up front 10, back 10. This one is 240, dead straight, pretty tight gap off the tee. Straight putter shot through a gap. A couple different ways to get creative, but I think we'll see all 4 of our players just shoot right up it.
Yeah, the only real danger is throwing it and getting it to fade out at the end. And Zach Peters does not do that. He puts a nice hold on that disc and gets it to hold its turn through the end of the flight.
Yeah, putting in work with that Berg pretty much all day. I think any chance he's gotten to throw it, he has.
It makes a lot of sense. Out here you just want the disc to kind of stop at the end of the flight on a dime, and that's what the Berg does. Yuli's throwing that zone, leaks it out, but he's on the dance floor, and that works for this hole for sure. Jamie up next. Looks like he's lining up a backhand. And does the one thing you can't do. Definitely fades OB.
Yeah, I got to get that to get to flat, unfortunately.
You're throwing your putter here, and you hold it over just right. A little bit of a long look for your birdie putt, but a good line nonetheless. Ulibarri lining up his birdie. You have one on circle's edge to match.
Yeah, right about 32 feet.
Oh.
And there's our first instance of a classic Earlewood putt right there. Just a little bit right of the pole. So not really one you expect to catch, but certainly you'll hear the people on a normal basket,
Yeah, for sure. You feel that inside of yourself as well after you have that putt happen. And it almost did catch for you. It tried to sneak in there on the side of the basket, of the tray, I mean. But like you said, that's a classic Earlewood putt miss, and Jamie with a good cleanup.
And Zach, textbook drive. I mean, I got to imagine that if there's one course to have a Berg on, this is a pretty good one.
This is definitely a Berg-style course, no doubt. You could throw it on the majority of the holes here.
All right, so an exciting front 10 from the guys. How about this? Zach Peters only 1 par.
Wow.
Parred hole 9 from going OB.
Wow.
was also OB on hole 5. So every hole that he didn't birdie, he was OB.
Wow.
Pretty insane.
That's insane. Yeah, Zach put on a heater. Could have been almost a perfect 10 for him. And I think you and Yuli also played good, and so did Jamie, of course. So
Yeah, I fell off, with parring the last 3 there. Yuli, missed hole 1, but after that is going to be a crisp 6 under. And Jamie, of course, doing his thing, coming in at a 5 under. Nice and steady. You will see the back 9 be a little bit easier. Definitely a chance to get on a roll for all these players, and excited to see it all, in Yuli's words, play out.
you got it, Harry. Well, it was fun being here with you guys, playing his Birdie or Die course at Earlewood Park in Columbia, South Carolina, and we will catch you guys for the second half, the back 10 of this course very soon.